What's up, TBS crew? It's your boy Steph back with another reaction. This time we have Mr. Creepypasta. Why I'm done using DoorDash Creepypasta Storytime, uploaded August 18th, 2019. Now down in the description will be links to Mr. Creepypasta's channel, to this original video, and all of my social medias. Get at your boy and see the personal life that I don't upload to YouTube. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's see what Mr. Creepypasta got for us.
I'm not too ashamed to admit that the advancement of technology and our ever-increasing ease of access to it has made me a little lazy. I can't be the only one. So many of the things that we used to need to put pants on for are now right at our fingertips. What's of groceries? Boom. Postmates or Instacart will hand-deliver anything you want from the store. Want some greasy fast food but don't want to wait in line while the person in front of you has to feed 300 people? Well, have someone from DoorDash or Grubhub go through the nonsense for you.
Shout out author JoJo.
Your cars in the shop and public transportation is the absolute worst. Jump right into an Uber or a Lyft. Well, for these, you might still want to reconsider throwing some pants on. That is just scratching the surface. New ones are popping up nearly daily, trying to find their niche in the market. Not to mention, you can just order almost anything that exists in the world from Amazon. It's only a matter of time before they figure out trans-dimensional gateways and can grab anything you want from any reality. So it was fairly easy for me to fall into this trap of spending a few extra dollars to give myself some convenience. I'm not rich by any means. But when it's 9 and I just don't feel like cooking or going out, I turn on my phone, I get virtually whatever I want to eat. Within this market, DoorDash is the trap I fell hardest into. It was never much more expensive than taking care of it myself, and the other apps like Grubhub didn't offer as much variety. It'll be at least once a week that I'll watch that little car icon getting closer to my house, stomach rumbling in response. As much as I love the app, though, I won't be using it anymore. Like I said, almost every week I order food, but 2 weeks ago I suffered a pretty serious injury during a car crash, one I'm still recovering from. So all these apps that before acted as a means of convenience became something of a necessity, as I couldn't drive or even leave the house. I, of course, wasn't ordering food every day. I wish that was the kind of money that I had. When the pain was bad and I wasn't willing to cook, I didn't hesitate to order, though. I had used the service enough to get embarrassingly familiar with some of the drivers, so I first noticed things were a little off when Martha, a woman I talk to often, hopped up as my driver, which was no surprise. The surprise came when I was alerted that my food had arrived. I made my way through the house slowly due to my injury, and upon opening the door, it wasn't her. Instead, I peered into bright blue eyes that were shaded by an orange baseball cap. The man that stood in front of me lifted the bag of food and flashed a smile. Cautiously, I lifted my arm out and grabbed the plastic, hearing the bag wrinkling during the transaction. I attempted to look beyond the broad delivery man. I could see Martha's car by the curb and her familiar silhouette in the passenger seat. The man noticed my nervous gaze and informed me she injured her leg. He looked at the cast on mine and suggested that I and her had that in common, before wishing me a good day and walking away. I tried to wave at Martha, but assumed she must have fallen asleep when she didn't return the gesture. She was an older woman, after all. Not much thought was put into it at the time. Any concerns I might have had were wafted away by the warm odor lifting off the bag. Pulling the plastic handles, my order gift was revealed to me. When I'm feeling down, nothing cheers me up more than a well-made steak and cheese. As the hefty sub was freed from its sleeve, I heard something fall to the floor. The sound was fairly distinct, and the picture in my senses matched perfectly with what had laid on the carpet. A shining gold-linked bracelet. Leaning over my fingers, wrapped around the metal that was heated from the sub. With an open palm, I observed the jewelry to make sure it wasn't mine, but I didn't own anything like it. Quickly, I opened the app and contacted the customer service. They got back to me before I could get one bite in. What followed was a fairly brief conversation between me and the representative. My conclusion was that it belonged to Martha, and when she made sure all the food was there, it dropped off her wrist. The rep told me that they would contact the driver and get back to me when they could take further steps. So I let that be and went on to eat my food. Nothing was wrong with it, other than it being a little colder than it should have been. The place was only a few minutes away, but I was so hungry I barely noticed. The following 2 days, I managed, with the help of some pain pills, to make my dinners. But when the next day came around, I went to DoorDash once again. Ordered some food from a local Chinese place and saw that Martha was once again delivering my food. Customer service never got back to me, so I figured I'd just return it then. So when I swung my front door open again to greet her, I was a little thrown off when I was met by the same man again. I tried to hide how taken aback I was, and instead pulled the bracelet from my pocket and held it out towards him. His face scrunched up as I explained that it must have fallen off Martha's wrist a few days ago. He stared at me for a moment, and I watched his mouth repeating the letter M, before his eyes went wide with realization. With a laugh, he replied that Martha wanted me to have the bracelet. As he spoke, I couldn't help but notice something poking out of the bag of food he was holding. It prompted me to assert that I would like to thank Martha for the gift. His glance shifted quickly from me to the car running by the curb. When his body twisted to look back, I noticed the car wasn't Martha's. Somehow, over the rumblings in my abdomen, I was able to feel my heart thudding against my chest. When his bright eyes locked onto mine again, he explained that he was just running DoorDash orders for her so she could make the rent. Sounded plausible. But the longer the words sat with me, the stranger they became. Not so much what he said, but how it was said. Like someone who was having trouble remembering a movie script, so they just filled in the blanks. With my nerves still firmly on edge, I told him to thank her for me and quickly grabbed the food.
He's suspect.
My goodbyes were offered through an ever-shutting door, and only with the click of the lock did my heart begin to settle. Part of me was in overdrive, attempting to convince myself that I was just overreacting. It got harder to do so as I reached into the plastic bag, covered in drops of condensation, and wrapped my fingers around what set me off. I had ordered from that place a few times. I was pretty damn certain no orders, DoorDash or otherwise, had come with a rose before. My intention wasn't to hurt Martha's ability to make money, but I was getting nervous and contacted their support again. The person who responded to me acted just as confused as I was. They said they couldn't give me any specific or personal details, but Martha's account had some pretty suspicious patterns. I'm sure the individual wasn't even supposed to say that much, but was instead just looking out for me. The person said they'd continue to look into it and told me to contact them again if Martha ever became my driver. After the second incident occurred, I had no intentions of ordering from DoorDash again. I talked to a few friends about the incident over the next few days, cooked food for myself, even on the rough days, and waited, hoping their customer service would alleviate my nerves. When I calmed down almost a week after receiving the rose that was packed in with 2 servings of orange chicken, I fell getting out of the shower.
Ooh.
Pain radiated intensity throughout my whole body. I went from scorching hot water to a blinding burn pulsing from my injured leg, and any thought of the dinner I was about to make washed away. Nervously, I pressed through the list of restaurants and fast food joints in DoorDash, picking through any new addition to the lineup.
You're not gonna
I
learn.
decided I would order something far away. Both orders before were pretty close, so I figured if I broke the pattern, no problem.
You're gonna learn today.
My food was ordered. A burger and fries from someplace I didn't even know existed, and waited until a dasher confirmed my order. The screen flickered, and I let out a sigh when I saw the name Marcus appear on the screen. All I had to do was wait, kick back with a handful of pain pills, and I'd be chowing down in no time. I had nearly fallen asleep when my phone buzzed to alert me that my food had arrived. It was running early, something I saw as a blessing at the time. I hobbled over to the door, assisted by the crutches under my arm. Clumsily, I turned the handle and pulled the door open. Bright blue was all I saw. My vision tunneled in on those piercing eyes. My hand moved to push the door closed, but it was hard to put any real force behind it in my state, and his hand easily stopped my attempt. He smiled and said that he was worried that he scared me, explaining that he was Martha's grandson. He went on to tell me that she had gotten sick, and the hospital bills started piling up, so we started driving for her. Soon, she had to stay home, and when he last delivered to me, customer service contacted him. They said he had to make his own account if he wanted to keep driving because people are put off when the driver doesn't match. The words were smooth, like he sat outside my house and practiced them to sound more natural than last time. He went on to admit that he thought I was pretty, so he was nervous. The flower was just a silly misstep. Such a genuine smile was contorted by the words coming out of his mouth.
Don't trust
I let
him.
my guard down.
Don't trust him either.
I returned his smile, and a laugh broke out between the two of us. I went over how ridiculous the whole thing was. When there was enough silence to do so, he took a look at the gleaming metal crutches and offered to set the food down inside for me.
Don't trust anybody.
No flowers this time, he joked, lifting the bag to my eye level.
You gonna fuck up.
With a nod, I backed away from the door and allowed him to begin stepping inside.
And get got.
I'm not invincible against a nice smile and blue eyes, and I felt bad being so suspicious of the guy.
You a fool.
He asked where I wanted the food, and I pointed to the kitchen counter. As he started walking towards it, I felt my pocket buzzing and awkwardly reached around the crutches to get to my phone. The walls of my living room felt like they were closing in when I read the text. One I received from my friend. I told her about the DoorDash incident, and it had made her curious, so she looked up Martha's name. She came across a recent news article with the name Martha in it. An elderly woman was found deceased in her car near a public park. The article wasn't mainly about Martha. They were using her death to compare with another individual that had been found just the day before. My hand nearly cracked the screen when I read the name of the recently deceased man. Marcus.
Woo!
You okay? The voice that was once smooth as butter, the voice that just a minute before had calmed me down, suddenly sounded like the devil himself. I didn't move my head, but my gaze shifted to the stranger standing in my living room. I thought it odd that he wouldn't have tried to put himself between me and the door. Once he saw my crutches, it must not have concerned him. With trembling lips and bubbling ire, I commanded him to leave my house. He just laughed. Not like he did when we shared a laugh. This was something else entirely. Come on, I just got here, he replied. His voice was so in control. I barely had time to register his intentions when I felt a sudden pressure on my face. There was no warning or wind-up, just his fist slamming hard against my nose and me falling against the door, shutting it. My body crumpled to the floor, legs so completely unable to support my weight. All I could do was look up at him. He had his hands over his face. With shaking breath, he pulled them down, stretching his features. I'm so sorry. I've been waiting for this.
You
He
finna
said,
get.
flashing that smile again, but I knew what was behind it.
You finna get got.
It's what? Let's just eat our food, and we can talk.
You finna get your ass whooped.
Each word sounded like he was either going to start laughing or crying. I lifted my arms and pointed towards my bedroom, telling him that we can eat in there. His grin bore his fangs, and he walked over to me. When I thought he might drag me over, he instead grabbed my crutches and my phone away from me. I had no intention to fight him on that. Living alone as I do, my dad taught me many things. Two of them stuck with me more than anything else, though. The first was that people can be horrible. When my body was weak, the man's assault had thrown me to the floor. I was nothing compared to what my old man would do to me. Watching the man turn his back to me, my food, means of mobility, and cell phone in his hand, I remembered the second thing. Something I could never hope I would need to know. My dad taught me people were terrible by being terrible. But he was a cop who had seen much worse people than him.
Yeah.
And he taught me, no matter how terrible the person is, they all get shot just the same.
There's always worse.
My fingers squeezed twice on the heavier than I remember handgun. Two hard clacks echoed around my house, and the man stopped in his tracks, patches of dark red painting around the holes in his light orange sweater.
Oh.
Bastard didn't even turn to look at me, just stood for a moment, and ended up dropping to the floor.
You just popped his ass?
It took me a minute, but I was able to crawl over to my phone and ring the police. I wasn't worried about getting in trouble. They knew me pretty well. They were even happy to see me. After a car T-bowed my cruiser and took me out of commission, I get a letter from the boys. My friend who had sent me the message that alerted me in the first place was the first to arrive on the scene. Then a few others got there, and it was pretty standard from then on out. Statements and questions. Just happy that I wasn't the one who needed to do all the paperwork on this one. Once the individual was identified, pieces started to connect. Martha's and Marcus's cases got fast-tracked and solved shortly after. His leg's still giving me a hard time, but it's getting better. I can walk without the crutches, and I'm back to driving. I think I'll be doing a bit more of that from now on. I certainly don't see myself using DoorDash anytime soon.
I bet.
Be careful out there, folks. Enjoy your food. Hey there once again, kids. It's me, Mr. Creepypasta, and I just wanted to give you a big thank you for watching tonight's video. If you guys ever wanted to help support the show, you can always do so if you watch the show on youtube.com/MrCreepypasta or find the Mr. Creepypasta Storytime podcast on iTunes, on Google Play, and on Spotify. And also, if you ever want to check out my wife's tea shop, it's etsy.com/IvoryMonocleTea, where she sells hand-blended herbal teas in the theme of Dungeons & Dragons and Harry Potter and Final Fantasy and the like. You can find the link for it, as well as many, many, many other links in the description down below. And, drumroll please, a big, big, big thank you to everybody supporting me at patreon.com/MrCreepypasta. People such as Tasia Lynn, Gino Baga Arneo, Daniel Paulson, Trace Miles, Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Wayne Milstead, Dr. Strawberry, Chapinski, Ken Lando Higuchi, Brianna Ventine Jensen, Nicholas Saeed Elyasin, Buddy Burrows, Stephen Van Huss, Kai Albertson, Goonington, G. Weevil 3, Chance Burnett, Diane Krause, Asia, Gabrielle DeBaca, the Red Oak Shield Virus, Cindy Barney, Titty Connoisseur, really? Titty Connoisseur?
I
Melissa
like that.
Swigart, Dante Rao, Last Blade Song, Cross Rights, The Ginger Bros, Eliminator 86, Andrew Steinberg, Jason Sistma, Holy Realm, and Rafael Rodriguez. Thank you so much to you guys out there on Patreon, to all of you listening to either the podcast or the YouTube show. And that is everything, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and sweet dreams.
Like I've said in other horror stories and creepypasta videos that I've watched and listened to, instead of naming all the people, I always thought it would be a lot more simpler to just put all their names in a list, and as you're closing out the video, just have like the list scrolling up, down, or whatever. Y'all know what I mean? Like the credits at the end of a movie. Like, just have all the names just scrolling up or down while you talk, so you don't have to say all of them. But I'm gonna be honest, towards the end of the video, when he was saying all the names, did y'all see that skeleton in the background that was like moving around and all that? I didn't like that. Nah. I didn't like the movements it was making. Nah. That it unnerved me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Because you know what? I expected it to like just start, like the farther he got towards closing the video out, I expected it to come out of the darkness and just like start wobbling towards the screen and all that. And that would have fucked with me. It would have. I ain't gonna lie. That's what you get for being too trusting and letting a calm, innocent demeanor fool you. I don't put nothing past nobody. I don't care how inviting the eyes were, the smile, how they carry themselves. I don't care about none of that. I don't put nothing past nobody. Fuck all that. You almost got for it. And you would have deserved that. You got hit in the face, and it sounded like you was about to get stomped out. You would have had some real problems. Thank you so much, guys, for watching my video. If you enjoyed the reaction, leave a like, a comment, and share the video. And if you really liked it, subscribe to the channel and tap that bell icon so you will get notified every time your boy Steph drop new content, which I do 7 times a week, at least for now. That is all I got for y'all this time around. Your boy Steph is out.